What's up guys, do you want to learn how to make the iconic Oskar Med and Avaion synth just like this?
I can find you. 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 I can find you.
Alrighty guys, so that was the sound we're going to be working on today, and it's just that nice warm analog sound that you might find in like some kind of Moog synthesizer or a Korg or a Roland or something like that. This is a sound that a lot of people typically invest thousands and thousands of dollars on analog gear to achieve. I actually wanted to challenge myself and see if I can create something maybe not exactly the same, but close enough to maybe trick the ears of 99% of listeners. I'm not exactly sure which synth Avaion or Oskar Med uses in this track, but I did invest hours and hours and hours of my life trying to recreate it, so definitely like and subscribe if you guys want to, and let's jump in. Alrighty guys, so this is the sound. Let's go ahead and hear that solo really quick. So super nice. I'm sure you've noticed I do have this one little instance of OTT. I'm going to turn that off and play it back. It really doesn't make that big of a difference. I just felt it kind of brightened the sound up a little bit in a unique way, but this is without the OTT. So as always, guys, we're going to break this sound down into 3 steps. Step 1, we're going to do some tonality. Step 2, we're going to shape the sound. And step 3, we're going to polish it off with the effects. All right, so kicking it off with oscillator A, I went with the Juno Wavetable here, and I have it on Wavetable position number 2, and that's pretty much all I have going on. I'm going to turn off these effects, and then let's turn off the filter and oscillator B, and let's just hear what that sounds like. So very buzzy, has that saw-like feature there. Okay, next we have oscillator B, and I went with the Sid Pulsar wave. All right, and I have the fine tune at 4, and that's pretty much it for this wavetable as well. Let's go ahead and hear that solo. I'm gonna again turn off all the effects, and I'll turn off oscillator A. This is what that sounds like. So interesting tonality there that complements this saw wave very well. Let's listen together. So that pretty much wraps up the tonality section. Let's go ahead and jump into shaping the sound. So for shaping the sound, I'm gonna start with this filter section here. And what I'm doing is I'm taking oscillator A and B and I'm routing them over to filter 1, where I have an MG Low 24 filter. I have the cutoff at around 250 Hertz, and that's pretty much everything that's going on. Let's go ahead and jump into the envelopes. So for envelope 1, I have 36 milliseconds on the attack, 490 on the decay, negative 2.8 dB on the sustain, and then 231 milliseconds on the release. It's just kind of giving it not quite a plucky shape. Like if I were to pull this all the way down, it would make it really plucky. It has a little bit of sustain, but it falls off shortly after. So for envelope 2, I'm actually modulating this cutoff knob here, and I'm modulating it by 23%. For the settings here, I have 2.8 milliseconds on the attack, 625 milliseconds on the decay, 60% on the sustain, and then 217 on the release. And again, guys, you can dial this into whatever. So I'm going to play the sound, and I can move this around and kind of show you. If I pull it down, it's really plucky. If I pull it out, I found right about there is a good place to be. Alrighty guys, next let's move over to the LFO section, where I have a few things going on just to give that sound more of an analog feel. So for the first thing, I have LFO 1, and I'm modulating 2 things. I'm modulating the CRS here and the CRS for oscillator A as well. And this is just kind of wobbling it out of tune ever so slightly, just to make the sound, again, sound more analog. That's the beauty of versus virtual and analog. Virtual tends to be really perfect, but analog is more inconsistent, if you will. For LFO 2, I have the same thing going on, but with the main tuning, and we can see that in the matrix section. LFO 2 here, and I'm modulating the main tuning. Okay, I have it on one direction here, just by 1%. So again, it's just these little things that add up over time just to make that sound feel more analog. So with everything done on this first page, this is what your sound should be sounding like. So that's pretty good. It still feels like it's lacking. So let's go ahead and head to the effects and beef it up a little bit. So the first thing I have is some distortion. And when I was listening to the original synth, it just sounded like there was a bunch of distortion creating a lot of harmonic frequencies and then some kind of filter carving off a lot of the top end. And so that's kind of what I tried to achieve here. All right. So starting off with a little bit of stomp box distortion, I have the drive at 25% and the mix at 45. Let's give that a listen. So just kind of beefing it up there a little bit. I did feel like it still needed some more, so I added a different kind of distortion. I went with the asymmetrical. I have the drive at 36 and the mix at 51. Let's listen to it now. So that sounded a lot better compared to the original. Now, I did feel it might have been a little too bright now, so throwing another filter on. And again, I have that on the MG Low 24. I have the cutoff at 1245. And then I am modulating that with envelope 2 as well by 29%. Let's listen to that now. This is without the filter. Hear that like pop in the top end, and this is with. So it eliminates that crackle pop in the very top end there, and that's kind of what I was achieving. And then obviously a little bit of reverb as well, and I went with the plate because it's kind of a shorter reverb. It's used for drums and percussion a lot, so let's turn that on. So nice reverb there. The size at 35% and the mix at 17. I didn't mess with any of these settings. And then finally, I finish it off with a little bit of delay. And the original song had delay on their synth as well. I just went with a 1/8, then I cut off a little bit of those. I honed in on those upper frequencies there. The mix is at 29%. So I'll put it all together. So just absolutely beautiful. One of the things that I realized when I was finished creating the sound is it still felt like it was lacking. And part of the reason that is they have a lot of automation going in the original. Like the sound is constantly evolving and transforming. And so I kind of made something to represent that a little bit. You could go super deep into this side of the sound, but I wanted to get you guys started. So I have the macro section here, okay? And so I have filter, and this is pretty self-explanatory. It's going to the filter by 71%. And then I have the release, and that's going to the release, and that's pulling the release back because there are some parts where I felt like the song just had a dead stop. It was like, bum, bum, and it just completely stopped, okay? And so that's how I modulated that. That's modulating by -25%, okay? And so I can show you the modulation here. So this is for the filter, okay? And I just honed in on these parts just to kind of like open it up right here, all right? And you can hear that. So, and then over time, it just kind of got brighter and brighter. You can hear it get brighter and brighter. So anyways, and that's kind of the evolving effect I was talking about. And again, you can do a lot more than that. That was just kind of to get your foot in the door. And then the release. And remember how I said it sounded like it was just kind of stopping? Well, that's what I felt right here, how the sound was stopping. So let's take the listen. See how there's release here and there's no release here? It just stops, and then on here. So that's kind of how I achieved that, just by dialing in the release there. Putting all those things together, you can see that you're left with something that's pretty similar to the exact result. Again, I'm not claiming that I can recreate exact analog gear sounds in Serum, but for someone who doesn't want to drop $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 on a synth or something, I think this is a pretty solid option to go with. Now that you have this really beefy analog sound, you probably need a lead to go on top of it. So go ahead and check out this video next. Peace.
I can find you.